On August 18, 1929, the women's first air derby took off from Santa Monica, California, ending in Cleveland, Ohio. Throughout the 9 days, the derby suffered from malfunctions, death, and sabotage, but in the end, the obstacles were overcome. This was a turning point in women's equality in aviation and other jobs for women, leading to female organizations such as the 99s and WASP. In 1903, the first working plane was created by the Wright brothers. This caught the attention of many men and women of all ages in the U.S. During this time, women had to follow certain societal rules that restricted them from many activities. This began to change in the Roaring Twenties. Women gained the right to vote, and many gender roles began to switch, including aviation.
And many women at that time were beginning to explore new freedoms. Voting was certainly one of them.
Many women became stunt flyers. They would balance on plane wings and perform dangerous stunts for an audience. Some women would work for postal services. Others became record breakers. Madeleine Mozant reached the women's altitude record of 2,500 feet. Harriet Quimby became the first woman in the U.S. to receive a pilot's license, and the first women to fly across the English Channel. The name of the race, Powder Puff Derby, was given by Will Rogers, a famous American actor who, besides the nickname, strongly supported the women aviators and helped carry extra luggage during the race. In 1929, the National Exchange Club hosted their first all-women's air derby. 20 pilots started, but only 15 finished. Some of the racers were Amelia Earhart, Louise Staten, Pancho Barnes, and Marvel Crossan. The race went on for 9 days, stopping at various cities along the way.
I think this race is going to be a great success, and I certainly hope so.
Women were going to race in planes against each other across the country, just like the men did at that time. And so they were thrilled for the adventure that they were about to have.
One of the most exhausting parts of the race was not the flying, but the endless dinner parties with music, dresses, and fancy food. After long hours of flying in small cramped spaces, racers had to attend a dinner party in each landing spot. It was not until late at night that the women could just get together to discuss the process of the race and relax. Before the race started, contestants attended a dinner party in their honor, but it was disrupted when Thea Raskell received an unsigned telegram stating "Beware of sabotage." Racers began to notice malfunctions with their plane. Ruth Elder's plane had 5 gallons of oil in it from so-called mechanics. Blanche Noise's plane caught on fire from what was assumed to be a lit cigarette, which was suspicious due to the fact that she didn't smoke. Fortunately, she landed safely.
There was a cigarette knocked out that was almost all gone, but it wasn't my cigarette because I don't smoke. So I took sand and put the fire out.
Other examples of this continued to happen with cut wires and fuel malfunctions, causing racers to be extra careful with their planes. During this time, women taking paths such as aviation was unheard of for men, and some still did not approve of it. While this was not true for everyone, some people took extreme measures to stop it, using tactics such as sabotage. Today, the mystery of sabotage still remains unsolved, and the author of the threat is still unknown. Whether it was a prank or real, the telegram proved that the aviators racing could face anything in their way. Misfortune struck on the second day when Marvel Crossan went missing. Her body was later found near the plane wreckage, and it was assumed that she jumped out to save herself, but the parachute never opened. Louise Staten dedicated her trophy to Marvel at the end of the race.
In that moment of sadness and of grief and of mourning, of having lost their friend, they knew that there was only one thing they could do. They had to keep flying. If they stopped, they would be told by the men that they couldn't do it. And so it absolutely did galvanize them to complete the race and really to keep fighting for many more years.
The Derby was a big hit for the public, and people would swarm landing spots to watch the pilots. In San Bernardino, fans crowded landing spots, causing racers to miss their places. Amelia Earhart managed to land without hitting anyone, but Opal Kunz's plane got damaged from her landing. People began to see these women's strength, while others criticized it. Finally, the race came to an end in Cleveland, Ohio, where Louise Staton and Phoebe Amelie were crowned the winners of the Powder Puff Derby. Louise Staton was crowned winner for the heavier division of planes, while Phoebe Amelie was crowned winner for the lighter division of planes. Throughout the hardship of the race, the contestants bonded. They did not see the Derby as a competition, but as an opportunity to work together to achieve their goal. Racers wanted to keep their friendship going, so Louise Staton created the 99s. The 99s is a place to talk and learn about aviation, to promote women in flying. Although it was founded by Louise Staton, Amelia Earhart was eventually made the president of the group, in hopes to enhance the group's popularity. The WASP was also created after the Derby in 1941. It was an organization of women pilots who would test aircraft and train other pilots. This was the starting point in Women in the Air Force. WASP stood for Women Air Force Service Pilots.
If the women in this era and Fly Girls had accepted defeat, had accepted their place in life, had accepted what the men wanted for them, the WASPs never come to be. And so I really do feel like, in a great many ways, every female aviator who comes after them does stand on their shoulders.
The Powder Puff Derby became an inspiration to many female aviators, which later led to more women breaking barriers in aviation for women, airplane modernization, and women in the Air Force. These little moments in history can spark big effects for the future. Marvel Crossan once said, "In those days, flying was regarded as dangerous for men and impossible for women." For the minds of many, this was true, but not for these pilots. They proved everyone wrong by overcoming dangerous obstacles and challenges in the race and finished strong. Without this step, women may have never had equality in the pursuit of aviation and professions that were seen as quote-unquote male. And thanks to the 99s, the legacy that these aviators left behind will still inspire young women today, constructing the next generation of women that will once again change the world.